Okay, this screen is now being recorded. Okay, great. All right, let's begin then, okay?
Okay.
All right, Bhagyashree, hello and welcome to Coffee Time with Griha. I cheers you with my coffee.
Cheers, cheers. Cheers to the
And
time.
yes, and on that note, I also want to know, because you are a coffee person, I've seen your Instagram post, how you love that little coffee corner of yours. What is it and how do you like your coffee? How do you make it? Just tell us something about that and then we'll go on.
Well, coffee for me has to be really frothed up. तो शक्कर बहुत कम होती है, दूध भी बहुत कम होता है, but I like it अच्छे से घोटी हुई coffee and then गरम गरम पानी. And usually with my coffee, I also like a piece of brownie or a lovely sweet biscuit or yeah, something to go along with that.
Okay,
So
and do you like to make your own brownies or somebody else's? Because in the lockdown, that's a luxury. Brownie वगैरह तो हमें नहीं मिल रही है.
no, so brownies, cakes, this is all that my children do for me. So I'm very bad at baking cakes. बाकी सारा खाना बना देती हूँ, लेकिन the cakes and the brownies and the biscuits are all what Abhimanyu and Avantika do.
Okay, okay. Bhagyashree, I mean, the reason why I decided to actually contact you and get you, on this interview is also one of the few reasons is that I have been interviewing a lot of these millennial kids, who probably are not as aware of the kind of cinema that 90s produced for us, and we 90s kids have actually grown up watching, including Maine Pyar Kiya. Like I was interviewing Arushi Sharma, who's just debuted in Love Aajkal, and she had not seen QS QT and she did not even know it. So, I mean, I'm dealing with that also. When your own kids are millennial kids, when you
Right.
actually interact with them, and yours looks like whatever we see on Instagram, it's a very, very fun sort of a banter, like a mother who's a friend to their children. Have you felt a sort of a generation gap ever with your children, or has it been a smooth sailing for you?
Well, actually, Griha, I was a very young mother and that helped. So I kind of grew up with my children. I had them when I was really, really very young. तो मैं भी बच्ची थी, उनके साथ खेल कूद कर मैं भी बड़ी हुई. So but there always will be a generation gap where the lingos are concerned and some of their thought processes, so they are constantly kind of correcting me on that. तो कभी कभी वहां पे mistake हो जाती है where I use a different kind of lingo for something else and then it just becomes too embarrassing for them. But yeah, I try and keep in touch with the new world through them. So essentially बहुत सारे लोग ये कहते हैं कि हम बच्चों को कितना सिखा सके. For me, it's more that I learn a lot more from my children. So
Yeah.
as long as you keep your antennas open, I think it's good enough.
But since you mentioned that, the baby boomer lingo and the Gen Z lingo, anything that you probably learned the hard way where people had a good laugh in your family, ki mom, what are you saying? This is not what it is. Anything that comes to your mind where your entire family had a good laugh and you probably said something which was not meant to be said in that sort of meaning that you
So
were interpreting of it, and it was a
recently,
completely different meaning.
yeah, recently in an interview, um, I had this problem on getting on this live, and I was like trying to explain to the other person, I don't understand this techno thing. And my kids go like, it's not like techno music, it's technology. So you cannot call that techno. So it was like pretty embarrassing for me over there. But yeah, हमारे लिए क्या सारी चीजें शॉर्ट फॉर्म कर लो तो लिंगो हो जाता है.
Yeah. uh, and since I mentioned Maine Pyar Kiya, the fact that you found stardom with your very first film, and you had the courage back then to leave all of that for family and for your children. Was it a tough decision back then? Because people still remember, I mean, the moment you say Bhagyashree and they will know Maine Pyar Kiya, they will remember all the songs, including Kabutar ke gaane ho ya koi bhi gana, they will all know about it. That is the kind of love that you achieved and that you garnered from your very first film. And people missed you eventually when you decided to, if for the want of a better word, be wanting to willingly be domesticated and be in that family way of things.
Well, first of all, I feel absolutely blessed that people do remember the work that I done like 30 years ago. तो कुछ तो अच्छा किया होगा कि I got that blessing and that kind of love and affection from so many people all around the globe. But I'd say taking the decision, I think I was too young to handle a career and home together. I felt it was impossible for me. Uh, so it was also a matter of priority where I took care of my family first. आजकल आप जब देखते हो, I see a lot of girls who are managing their careers and homes together and brilliantly so. So, I mean, I feel kudos to those girls who have managed. Also, I guess age being on their side, where they're a little older when they have their kids, they're more equipped to handle uh, children, the home, the responsibilities of the career, and manage the time in between. At that point of time, I couldn't have done that. And I just felt it was important that I prioritize myself. And for me, family really mattered. So I said, let me give my time and energies to that. Also, I think post Maine Pyar Kiya, there came a phase where films were basically all about the women just being dolled up. So it's not like today's times where there's so much of different mediums, which are there for people, for women to play different characters and enjoy the work that they're doing. In those times,
Yeah.
the films were quite restricted to the kind of roles that you would also get as a woman. And especially after being a married woman and a mother on top of that, you were probably delegated to being in the background. Kisi ki maa, kisi ki behan, kisi ki, so that was not what I wanted to do. I'd rather I'd rather make uh, like touch base with films and web series right now, where there are films and web series being written for women and the kind of roles that I'd like to do. So I kind of find of myself being lucky to be able to get back to work at this point of time.
And the fact that you mentioned getting back to work, two of your films are, in the pipeline. One is with superstar Prabhas that you're doing. There's another one also, and you were in fact shooting for that film with Prabhas when the lockdown was announced. So a
Right.
bit about, what do we get to see, once everything is normal, and then eventually we'll talk about who actually coaxed you into getting back to movies.
So I was actually shooting in Georgia before the lockdown happened. I managed to get back just before um, we had that 1 day lockdown, which led to a couple of months now. But yeah, I got back in time for that. We were shooting for Prabhas's film, which is still untitled so far, but it's a completely different role that I'm playing, and a completely different skill set that was required. Um, it took a lot of time for me to get ready or prepare myself for that role. So when people actually get to the theaters to see this film, they are going to see Bhagyashree in a very, very different avatar. Shooting for Prabhas's film, of course, the director Radha was brilliant, very easy person to work with. Uh, our cameraman Manoji was brilliant in his cinematography, and this film is a period film. I wouldn't say it's a historical, it's in the 1970s, but it gives a touch of the bygone era. I think when you create an atmosphere that's very different than what it is today, even for the millennials, it would be something to go back into easy history. Like you're saying that
Yeah.
people haven't yet seen films from the 90s. The 70s, तो उसके
Yes.
पहले भी हुआ, तो people have not been able to connect with that kind of that time rather. So for them to see this or how the world was in the 1970s, and this is happening in Europe. So Europe in the 1970s was completely different from what you see right now. So the type of cars that would be there, the atmosphere that would be there. So yeah, I think the brilliance of the director, the cinematographer, the sets are so vibrant, and it's amazing the kind of money that the producers have pumped into this venture. So it's going to be a huge project. And I'm just happy to get back into work with such a humongous project. While this is also big, the other film that, well, we're going to announce it tomorrow, though I have been shooting for it, that is
Right.
equally big in a very, very different way. So for me, I'm connecting with my fans and the people who always wanted to see me on big screen in a very, very different kind of avatar. So it's nice to
And
get back.
that's also going to be a venture down south as well, or you doing something
Well,
here?
both of them are bilinguals. So, yeah, they are
Okay.
going to be, we're shooting for both the films in both the languages. So it's not going to be a dubbed film.
Okay.
It's,
Okay.
yeah, we are going to be shooting it in both the languages.
Also, the fact that you have been associated with films down south, be it Telugu cinema or Kannada,
Yeah.
back then also. So, was it also nothing new for you because you have done those films also when you decided to, and off and on you've been doing that kind of films. But
Mhm.
I mean, people have to brand it as a comeback. They are more than welcome to do it. But yeah, you have been associated. You've been dealing with your share of the arc lights every now and then, if I may say so.
Yeah. So it's been sporadic also because, like you rightly said, I prioritized family over my career. So as the children were growing up, and of course, I live with my in-laws, so we have a joint family. तो कभी किसी की तबीयत ठीक नहीं होती, so you have to prioritize those things in your life, um, which is why it was very sporadic work. But now, fortunately, children are all grown up, they are into their own lives, and both of them have been extremely encouraging for me to start work. And they keep saying, "Jo aapne pehle nahi kiya," and still there's that spark in you that wants to do more, and it's something that you enjoy doing. And we are all there to be the wind beneath your wings, and just go and do your stuff, mom.
The fact that you mention your family, all of you guys are into fitness. I mean, whatever I see on Instagram, all of you, I mean, even your son Abhimanyu or daughter for that matter, everybody has a fitness fad, and you guys are a stunning family. You got into fitness, your own fitness videos are such a motivation for people who have been cribbing that, lockdown hai, hum gym nahi ja pa rahe, what will we do at home? You have actually shown them how to work out at home. You've coaxed your own husband to work out along with you. So those couple workouts are something that I look forward to. Those are really amazing videos.
Well, thank you so much. All I would say that this journey was quite recent. Um, though all of us have been health conscious. I mean, post my pregnancy, my second one rather. पहली बार तो पता भी नहीं था. I was way too young, और उस वक्त तो किसी ने बताया भी नहीं था कि भाई प्रेगनेंसी के बाद भी ऐसी ऐसी एक्सरसाइजेस होती है या करनी चाहिए या कोई डाइट कंट्रोल करना चाहिए. We weren't even aware of those things back then, you know. Uh, so fitness actually started with me having a small health issue a couple of years ago, where the doctors had actually told me that I would have to operate because I couldn't move my right hand at all from here downwards. Um, it was just immobile. So I was extremely scared of getting it operated, and I decided to self heal myself. So I learned about holistic nutrition, about fitness, about how neurologically you can balance your body with your mind, how it is important that your gut has to help your entire system to kind of work, that there are so many proteins which people don't understand, that you have to ingest all of them to make your body run smoothly, and that you should be able to do all the work being pain free. If there is a certain amount of pain in your body, that means something is going wrong. Your body signals you. So it's essentially understanding that right in the beginning, so you don't reach that height where you have to go in for a surgery or go to doctors or take pills over a long period of time. Everything can be avoided. Our bodies are meant to heal themselves. So it's just understanding your body. When your body says, "Mama, look after me," that's the time.
And also, you mentioned how it's very, very important to, to know what you are eating, what you ingest into your system to be fit. I mean, it's not just only exercise, you have to balance it out with a good meal. So you also have a cure for that because you've been whipping up like a storm in your kitchen and, the nutritional bit included. So I like how you post your cooking videos. You have that little disclaimer on the nutrition value of what you're making. So that's something very interesting.
So I have my own program. It's called, people can connect with me at info at backtobasics.online, where I actually give them a food plan, which is very, very nutritious. Things that are not fancy, not expensive, things that you can get in your own kitchen, which are a food plan basically that suits every individual need. So it depends on where you are. Um, what kind of person you are. Are you single? Are you married? Are you having people at home to cook for you? Or you have to cook yourself? Have you to take care of a huge family? Are you at home or a working woman? So, depending on that, you have a food plan that kind of fits the bill that you want to. Because any of these diets that you follow as a fancy, you kind of make a lifestyle change with those. You cannot allow those diets to take over your life because you'd probably be looking at calories or you'd be looking at अच्छा ये खाना मैं कहाँ से मंगाऊँ या बहुत expensive है. So
Right.
suiting what everyone else wants, what they want, my diets actually work out that way. So yeah, it helps a lot of people.
And coming back to the content that you were talking about and how it is more and more easier to be fitting into the kind of cinema or the kind of work that you want to do as an actor, it's easier. It was not back then. Because, like I mentioned, I was talking to a millennial actor who did not see an Indian content, but she was very, very aware of a singer like Avril Lavigne, who also is from the 90s. So, how people or the millennials are more readily consuming content which is Western, not Indian. They will not. There are not many takers for a non-Indian content. So, do you think that is changing? Because what the creators used to do earlier is something completely overhauled now because of the OTT platforms, the web series space. Everybody has work and everybody can do what they can justify as on screen. So don't you think this is the best time to be an actor or a director or a producer?
Absolutely. I think the society is changing. And what web series or films do is they reflect on what the society is becoming. So it's not about just aping the West, but I think our minds are opening up to understanding relationships, families, wants, needs. बहुत सारी चीजें हमारी आम जिंदगी में बदल चुकी है. So yes, as an actress, it feels great getting back to these platforms because they offer you a chance of doing a variety of roles that can be written for women specifically. Like there was a time where one would say कि police inspector मतलब आदमी होना चाहिए. क्यों भाई? I mean, there can be a woman police officer or lawyer होना चाहिए तो आदमी होना चाहिए. So it was a very patriarchal thinking society, but I think people are changing their mindset right now, and the more we give out uh, that kind of content, I think it'll bring about a change even for us women, you know.
Right.
So people start believing that, understanding that, and I think the Gen Next is more in touch with that. I think we need to change. I learn a lot from my children. So I think if you keep your antennas open and you think that the new world is something that's beckoning you, so you open up your vision, and that's what helps.
Also, since you mentioned your kids, Abhimanyu, had his debut in last year, and he won the best debut male award. You won the best debut female award when you did Maine Pyar Kiya. Was it not a surreal experience, seeing your son out there, be in that profession which you have been part of, how you were recognized and loved from your very first film, something similar happening with Abhimanyu as well. Just talk to me about how and what did you feel at that time when you saw him go up on the stage and receive that Filmfare trophy?
You know, when backstage they called me to give an award, and I said, "Oh, acha, kaun sa award dena hai?" And they said, "Best Male Debut." And I was like, "But Abhimanyu is nominated." They said, "Huh?" And I said, "You can't do this to me. मतलब उस envelope में किसका नाम है मुझे पता नहीं है. If it's not Abhimanyu's, I'm going to start crying. If it's Abhimanyu's, I'm going to start crying." So I was like, okay, this is a tough spot to be in, because you're there wanting the best to happen for your own kid, and yet it's not there in your hands. And I would have to still part away with that award to someone else, you know.
Yeah.
So I would say it was a difficult moment, but when I opened that envelope and saw Abhimanyu's name there, my heart just stopped beating for a minute, and it was completely uh, an overwhelming feeling. Uh, Also very surreal for it to happen 30 years down the line again.
Yes,
And
yes, 30
yeah,
years.
30 years since मैंने प्यार किया, so it was that feeling, and I couldn't bring myself to even say anything. I just got too choked. So all I could do was just hug him tight on the stage. The, I mean, while talking to you, I'm just feeling that entire gamut of emotions that I went through at that point of time. So yeah, it was also a validation of him, uh, his hard work, putting in the best effort, because there's been so much talk about nepotism and how star kids have it easy.
Hmm.
Well, Abhimanyu has done everything on his own, and yet when he's asked those questions, it feels like one is downsizing the hard work that he's put inside. So that was kind of a validation of his talent being recognized, and his hard work actually being appreciated by everyone. So that made me feel good.
Also, since you talk about validation, Bhagyashree, back then when you decided to actually call it quits and you decided to, restrict yourself to family and do that because that was primary for you in your life, a lot of your fans were disheartened. A lot of people made stories. A lot of people said that Bhagyashree only did, these films where she wanted to be starred opposite Himalaya, and that was what it was, and that what something that brought her career down. So there were those detractors also. Now, when you look back, and I'm talking to you primarily in the capacity of you being an actor. Now,
Yeah.
when you look back and you see the kind of content that is available for people like you to do, because at that time, you probably did not have as much or as myriad a choice as you have now. Do
Mhm.
you feel validated because of the cinema that you're associated with now? We just spoke about what you are doing in future. I believe there is also a web series that you're doing. So do you feel that validation come in your personal life also? All those people who made those stories up?
Oh, well, I just feel having been given another chance to enjoy what I missed out at that point of time. Let me put it that way. It's not about putting the detractors down. It's about me being lucky enough, touch wood, to have lived the best of both worlds. I got my family, I got to spend time with my children, and I'm going to be able to enjoy acting. Because for me, it wasn't ever about being glamorous or getting fame or money. It was about enjoying the work that I'm doing. So it's not about कि उस वक्त अच्छा इतनी बड़ी हीरोइन बन जाती. It's not about that.
Hmm.
It's about enjoying the
Yeah.
kind of work that I'm doing. So today the films that I'm doing are giving me that opportunity to enjoy the performance or enjoy the creativity inside me. So which is great,
Hmm.
which is absolutely great.
Also, talking about Maine Pyar Kiya, what is the memory that you take back now? I mean, after 30 years, when you look at the film, do you watch it often with your family? Do you do that?
No, actually, the kind of responses that I get from all the fans saying that they've watched it like over a zillion times, or आज भी जब It's on Netflix, or people see it on Z television, I think. Yeah. So it's shown pretty often on
Yeah.
Z. And I get so many messages saying, आपकी पिक्चर चल रही है, बहुत अच्छी है, आज भी हमें गाने याद रहते हैं, या आपकी आवाज इतनी मीठी है. So when I see that kind of love and affection, it just overwhelms me. It just overwhelms me completely. मैं आज की बात करूं तो it's like I have barely seen the film maybe thrice. That's about it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, actually sat down and seen the whole thing. Of course, when you're walking back and forth, और कोई channel पे होगा तो हम बैठ के एक scene देख लेते हैं. But I end up being so critical. I said, मेरा नाक देखो, वो dance देखो. I mean, but what I'd say was, Surajji has written a film and made a subject that talks about innocent love.
Yes.
It's something that every one of us aspire to have, to uh, to have in our lives. You know, each and every character of Maine Pyar Kiya is someone that you'd like to be associated with. So whether it's bringing home a girl like Suman, or having a mother-in-law like Rimaji was, or having a boyfriend like Salman was in the film, but there's some kind of association that every character gave you in that film. So
Right.
um, it's what they call a cult classic. I mean, it feels weird me saying it, but I'm saying it only from the aspect of Surajji having written it and directed it. It's a film that touches hearts. And
Yes.
since we are Indians and we are so emotionally bound, I think this is a film that will connect to everyone across the generations. मतलब आज मेरा बेटा जब फिल्म देखता है तो वो बोलता है, अरे उस जमाने का प्यार ही कुछ अलग था, you know,
Yes.
things like
Yes.
that. So I think the connect will always remain.
Do your children ask you what was your best moment, mom? What was it like working for the first time with such a big production, with Suraj Barjatia, with Salman, with Reema ji? Are they those who are growing up when they must have seen that film for the first time?
No, actually, they start laughing looking at me. So they're just used to mom. You know, they're not used to Suman on screen. So no, they don't say any of those things.
You know, when I was reading one of your interviews where you said that you did this one scene. I mean, I know it's way back, but 30 saal purani baat ho gayi hai, but you did that one scene and you started crying and howling. You broke down on the sets. You just because you were uncomfortable about certain things, nothing to do with whatever was happening. And your director and your actor, co-actor Salman got really scared. Ki kya ho gaya? And you actually poured your heart out with your director and said that this is not something that I've ever worn in my life. I mean, this is not how we wear the clothes and all. So that was a completely new experience for you. You had a clean, you were coming from there and doing a girl from a royalty industry and doing her first film. So that must have been something.
Griha, actually, you know what happened was that for me, Salman and Suraj, uh, we were all doing this for the first time. So all of us were as raw, as
Yes.
if you can say, as innocent as they can be. So we didn't have any qualms of speaking our hearts out with one another. And for me, I come from a very conservative family. So I hadn't really had any interaction with the opposite sex, excepting for, yes, I had my husband, my first love who I got married to. So it wasn't like I dated many people or had that interaction with, different boyfriends. So for an intense scene, which I had to do with Salman, so-called intense at that time, where it's the first time that a girl hugs her boyfriend. I think the whole rawness of the
Yes.
situation kind of helped because it connected with every person who has done it the first time, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't think anyone can ever forget their first kiss. So it was that kind of feeling that this character, Prem and Suman, are coming together for the very first time. So that rawness got projected just perfectly. I mean, आज भी Suraji, Salman, they all start laughing and they've given plenty of interviews saying that भाग्यश्री की वजह से इतनी सारी स्क्रिप्ट में changes हुए, लेकिन all those changes are the changes that people found um, innocence, piety, um, that's something that you connect with your first love. So I think that is what stayed in people's hearts. So yeah, we just got lucky.
People later began calling you this one film wonder because they did not see you very often, right? You took that decision. What will you call that? Looking back, what will you call that? Was it brave? Was it for love? Or was it only for the priorities that you had right in your life?
Well, I would say it was love and priorities. Both me and my husband were very young, और पूरी दुनिया जिसके पीछे भाग रही है, वो अगर आपकी बीवी हो तो आप तो बहुत परेशान होंगे. I guess. Yeah, as come on, there's this young fellow who's just got a pretty wife back home, and the whole world is saying, "Ye hame de do." You know how that poor man is going to be.
I know.
So, yes, he was very jealous and very possessive, and I loved him. I still do. But I mean, that time it was like, bus, anything that makes him happy. So, yeah, and of course, when Abhimanyu came on the scene, it became a completely different aspect altogether. I think motherhood changes your priorities to another level. And that's all I saw. I just saw my baby, and that meant the world to me.
Okay, so what we are going to do is, before we end this interview, we're going to do a quick never have I ever with Bhagyashree. Okay, and if you have done this thing that I'm mentioning over here, 2-3 things that I'm going to mention, you will take a sip of your coffee if you have done it. And you will tell me the reason and the story behind it. Okay?
Okay.
Are you ready with your
Okay.
There is it थोड़ी ठंडी हो गई है, but क्या कर सकते हैं?
हाँ.
Okay, so I begin. Okay, never have I ever sung in public. You have sung in public?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
I have.
And what was the response?
I have sung in public because I was on stage. माइक में रिवर्ब होता है और पहले से मैं बोल देती हूँ, भाई मैं लता मंगेशकर हूँ नहीं, लेकिन आपके दिल में अगर बैठी हूँ तो क्लैप कर दीजिए, अच्छा लगे तो भी क्लैप कर दीजिए, नहीं अच्छा लगे तो भी क्लैप कर दीजिए.
What was the song? I'm so intrigued.
दिल दीवाना, और क्या गा सकूंगी?
Why don't you sing it for me? I mean, you have a beautiful voice. Yeah, you should sing one line for me.
No. Okay. Next.
I took my chances. You can't blame me for me. Okay. Never have I ever cut my own hair.
I did. This lockdown, I've actually trimmed it. So yeah, it was just
that's nice.
So I gave it a nice shape. I did.
Wow, that's brave of you. Everybody that I ask this question and if they say yes, I cut bangs or I cut my own hair, is like, but बहुत ही आप निडर हैं. You are very, very brave. Okay, never have I ever accidentally said I love you to someone.
No, I haven't. When you say I love you, you should mean
only reserved for.
हाँ, यहाँ से आना चाहिए. Like, even when Suman said it to Prem, she really meant it.
Okay. Are you? Before I pose the next question, I want to ask you: are you an easygoing mother, or are you a very, very strict, regimented mother? When your children were growing up, you wanted things according to as per decorum. How are you?
I was a person who followed discipline very strongly. I wouldn't allow them to waste their food at all. मतलब जब तक जितना थाली में खाना खत्म नहीं होता तब तक उठ नहीं सकते हो, वरना लो मत. So it was very clear. And I think I've got OCD over cleanliness. So yeah, my kids are really happy with that.
Okay, so then comes my next question. Never have I ever been that regimented mother, and my kids have not got to know about certain things where I have probably, been a little less regimented, if I may put it correctly, like waking up more than 24 hours over a web series or a film, and your children do not know about it. Binge watching
Uh,
something.
no, I think I started having a glass of wine very late after they'd grown up, and they kind of walked on to me that time and they said, "Mom, wine?" And I said, "Ab aap bade ho gaye ho."
Okay, okay. That's okay. That's fine. Okay. Never have I ever known that the food that I have cooked is really bad, but yeah, I have still forced my kids to eat it in the name of nutrition.
Never, never, never. I've cooked decent meals and they've always loved my meals.
Okay. Yeah, you are a good cook. Yeah, I've seen that in your Insta stories. Very, very nice. And I can actually smell the food that you're cooking, the way you cook it. I'm not kidding. Okay. Never have I ever secretly crushed on a film actor.
Oh, that I have. I'm not going to tell you who now. My kids will-
And does Himalayan know about it? Does he know about it since he was
yeah, yeah,
very,
he
very
does. He
possessive
does.
as a husband when you.
Yeah, yeah, he does. He does.
Okay. And does the actor know about it? All right, Bhagyashree. It was really, really lovely talking to you, and I'm glad that we did this. I am really happy that I got a chance to actually talk to you, and I'm waiting to see you
Yeah.
back on screen and
Thank you.
back to sharing all the love and affection that people shower on you. So looking
Thank you
forward to
so much.
more of you as an actor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Griha. Bye
All
bye.
right, thank you.
And
Bye, bye, bye.
cheers once again.
Cheers.